So the first thing that comes to our mind is what is financial market, because the very first terminology we have been using is the financial market. Now what is financial market? And when we have to define financial market, we need to understand what is exactly market. Many of the students and many persons have the idea that market is a place, but market is not a place, because if market would have been a place, then when we utter the word stock market, then which place we are referring to? We are not referring to any place. Say when we are referring to, or when we are uttering the word, say a textile market in India, or IT market in India, or the FMCG market in India, we do not mean, or we are not referring to any place. So for a layman, whenever we ask a layman what is market, the person will simply say that the market means market is a place where the buying of goods and services took place. But this is the very first mistake students do, that market is not a place. Because if market would have been a place, and again coming back to the same thing, that if when we are talking about, let's say, stock market in India, then are we referring to a particular place? We are not referring to a particular place. Then what are we actually referring for? We are referring, market means a group of buyers and sellers who are coming together on certain platform to exchange goods and services for money, or monetary worth. So this is about the market. Now when we talk about, say, vegetable market, then in vegetable market what is traded? Definitely vegetables. When we talk about textile market, what is traded in a textile market? Clothes, garments, textiles. When we talk about IT market, definitely the IT products, softwares, they will be sold and bought in the IT market. Now when we utter the term financial market, what exactly we are referring to, and what are actually being bought and sold in financial market? So in financial market, we are actually selling financial assets. Like the students, if you have gone through the financial accounting, and in financial accounting, one thing that is the closing stock. Closing stock is shown as an asset. That is an asset. So for a vegetable vendor, at the end of the year, or at the end of the day, when he or she will be preparing his or her balance sheet, so the closing stock, though it is a closing stock, it will be sold next day, but as on that day, it is his or her asset. Knowingly that the vegetables are very perishable and the next day it will be perished, but on the last day at the end of the day, for that particular moment, it is his closing stock, and that will be shown into the asset side of his or her balance sheet. Meaning thereby, all those things like stock or vegetables or any product, whatever is being sold by the persons or the traders, are actually their assets in a way that they are selling. Not the assets that their land and properties and building on which they are running their business, but they are the unsold goods. The goods are also asset for a particular point of time. Now, referring to the same definition, if we come to the financial market, so it refers to any marketplace, or again, this is a wrong definition. It's not a marketplace, but it's a group of buyers and sellers where trading of financial assets occurs. So in vegetable market, it's vegetable assets, or textile market, the textiles, the financial assets. Now, financial assets. So when we are again using the term financial assets, we must be clear about what is asset. We have been told in our accounting classes or in other classes that assets means whatever the things or the properties which you own. Assets are actually, I have to define assets, they are your claims. This particular mobile is my asset because I have a claim over it. Okay, but this landline connection, this is not my asset because I do not have claim over it. This belongs to the institute. So assets are anything over which I have certain claim. Now, this financial assets. What is financial assets? So financial assets are also a kind of financial claims. Market, a group of buyers and sellers, I have already told, and financial assets are, in fact, they are the financial claims. Now, what kind of financial claim? Suppose I have deposited, say, 50,000 rupees in a bank. So I am actually generating certain financial claims. Now I have certain claim over that bank, and how much amount I can claim from the bank? 50,000 plus interest will be the claim over the bank which I have. Suppose if I have invested in a bonds of certain companies, so say 50,000 rupees, and I remain invested for 1 year, and the rate of interest is 10%. So 10% of 50,000 is 5,000. So after 1 year, I have generated a claim of 55,000 because that much is the financial claim I have over that company. Similarly, if I have invested in some stocks of the company, I have the claim in that company up to that amount. Okay, that stocks, and whenever that company will be liquidated, liquidation means the company will be closed down, so I can claim my proportionate share from that company, and because of that I have invested in the stocks of the company, I can claim some certain amount of dividend from the company. So financial assets are basically financial claims, remember this. Okay, now basically any economy in the world have two sectors broadly. One is the deficit generator, another is the surplus generator. There are like an entire economy. Suppose this Indian economy, we consider the entire Indian economy, there are two sectors in our economy. One will generate deficit and one will generate surplus. Now, who are the deficit generators? Government is the biggest deficit generator. And who are the surplus generator? Individual households are the biggest surplus generator. Now you will ask how? You cannot spend more than what you have. Suppose if your pocket money is rupees 100 given every day from your parents, you cannot spend more than 100 rupees. Even if you can borrow, but next day you have to repay. So your spending capacity is limited by 100 rupees only. So a household or an individual are the biggest surplus generator, because whatever they are earning, out of that only they are spending, and they are generating some surplus. And who are the deficit generators? Government, the corporates, basically these are the biggest deficit generator. Like the government budget, if you take, entire government budget is a deficit budget. Government can spend more than what it have, more than its earning, and because that's called deficit financing and deficit budget. Like in the government, expenditure is more than the income, and the deficit is bridged from the printing of new currency notes, and then borrowings, internal borrowings and external borrowings, and there are so many things. Corporates, suppose a company, suppose Mukesh Ambani is trying to launch a Jio mobile, and for that the project cost is 4,000 rupees. So Reliance may not have 4,000 crore rupees or 5,000 crore rupees, but it can start its operations, and then how this 5,000 crore or 10,000 crore of rupees will be met? It will be met from issue of equity shares and the bonds. So when the project is actually, the idea of project is conceptualized or the project is started, that much of the deficit has already been created, and that deficit will be bridged. How? By issuing of equity shares, issue of bonds and debentures and different instruments. This deficits will be bridged, and this is how the company will be raising capital. For example, Reliance Power, the Dadri project, Reliance Petrochemicals, it was a greenfield project, something around 10,000 crore. So when 10,000 crore project have been approved by the board of Reliance Industries, so all of a sudden a deficit of 10,000 crore is created. And how this 10,000 crore was financed? by issue of equity shares. Equity shares worth rupees 10,000 were issued into the market, and this is how the entire money was collected. And this financial market is the movement of money from one sector to the another sector, from deficit generator to the surplus generator, and surplus generator to the deficit generator. Deficit generator से surplus में कैसे आता है पैसा? When deficit generator will start funding its operations, then it will start its operations, then it will spend money, then सपोज एक कंपनी एक अपना प्रोजेक्ट शुरू करती है, तो उसमें काम कौन करेगा? एम्प्लॉयज काम करेंगे, इंडिविजुअल्स काम करेंगे. सो द फ्लो ऑफ मनी विल बी फ्रॉम deficit generator to surplus. And when the company will be issuing equity shares, so the flow of money will be, or equity share or any other financial instrument, so the flow of money will be from surplus generator to deficit generator. This movement of money takes place, and this is all about the financial system. And how efficient is the financial system of a country? It depends on the entire political system, economic system, and financial system of the company. In America, that flow of fund is very smooth because of their political system and strong economic system and strong financial system. In India also, the flow of money is very smooth because whatever is the status of our economy, suppose we are a third world country or we are a developing country, but so far as the stock market is the concern, we are almost at par, or not only at par, we are ahead of USA in terms of efficiency in the stock market. In certain terms, I will come to that later on in what are the areas where we are ahead of the stock USA. Okay, so this entire sector is now more sub-classification is given. This deficit generator and surplus generator, like household, government sector is there, household sector, then foreign, and the business, that is corporates and other business entities. Government will be there. Household sector, it includes households and individuals and foreign. And the flow of money from household sector, we will be paying for the imports, then money will go to the foreign, and the business will also pay for the import, then transfer payment, then business will pay taxes to the government and loans, government will spend, then government purchase, it will come to the business, and this is how this entire money, it keeps on floating within the financial system. Some will be the consumption expenditure, income payment, and household sectors will be saving some amount, and saving will be through capital market, it will be routed and it will go to the business sector, and business sector also it will save something and it will come to the capital market, then some part of the capital market will route towards the government, that will be investment, and in government saving will also come to the capital market. So this is a very complex system, it keeps on flowing, and it's this is how the entire financial system it works. Okay, now having understood this financial system, and one more thing, our financial system, what kind of financial system we have or will be having, it depends on what kind of economic system we have. Basically there are two economic systems in the world, that is, one is the command economy and another is the market economy. Command economy, popularly known as socialism or communism, everything will be dictated by the government, that is the pure form of command economy. And market economy, everything will be left to the market forces, so that is consumer sovereignty and laissez-faire economy, like whatever the will of the consumer and whatever is the want of consumer, that will be produced by the market and that will be sold into the market, and ultimate consumer sovereignty is there. So that is the crux of market economy. Market economy, also known as capitalism. So there are after 1947, end of the Second World War, there was a Cold War era going on in the entire world, and the entire world was divided into two groups. One was in favor of the market economy and one was in favor of the command economy. USSR at that time, now USSR is no longer there, it becomes a history, but Russia, at one point of time, it was a bigger USSR, United States of Soviet Republic, and in 1991 it was divided into 16 countries, that all these countries like Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Ukraine, Armenia, Azerbaijan, all were at one point of time were the part of USSR. So they were basically the propagators of command economy, that is socialism. Everything will be controlled by the government. Everything will be in the hands of the government. State means the government will be the supreme power, and it will dictate what has to be produced and what need not to be produced. So there are certain countries in the world like USSR was there, China, then Cuba, some Latin American countries. They were actually in that group, which believes that everything should be controlled by the state, and that becomes the command economy. Some countries like USA was the leader in the market economy, and most of the European countries and USA and some other country like Japan in Asia, Australia, they were actually in the camp of market economy, that is the capitalism. And India was in between. India, and along with 115 countries, where actually they were neither in the camp of Russia nor they were in the camp of America, but they started believing in a system of non-alignment, and they started a capitalistic economic system of mixed economy, that government and the private, both of them will go together and will not have either pure form of communism nor pure form of capitalism, and that we have adopted mixed economic system. So financials, what kind of financial system we have, it is actually it depends on our economic system. And what kind of economic system we will have, it again depends on our political system. So political system is at the top. So what kind of a political system we have, like India, just say for example India, now India is very close to USA right now because of our political system. In the center we have a political party which believes in a certain ideology, and because of that it is pro USA. Prior to that, most of the Congress governments, they believes in certain ideology, and because of that they were more closer to Russia. So ultimately political system is the ultimate thing. Whatever it is, the corporatization or the branding or this economic system or financial system we talk about, but ultimately it is the politics which decides, which dictates what kind of economic system and what kind of financial system we have. Prior to 1991, we were having a very protectionist policy, protectionist economic system. Like foreign imports and foreign companies were not allowed to enter into India because of the ideology of the government at that point of time. In 1991, P.V. Narasimha Rao, the then Prime Minister, and Manmohan Singh, the Finance Minister, they have started a policy, and ultimately entire economic system and financial system have changed. So, my dear students, remember political system, what kind of political system we have at the top, that decides the fate of our students, you people, your generation, your career, everything will be decided by the political system. So first thing, that as a student, stop saying from today that you are a student and do not have any interest in the politics. The food you eat, the air you breathe, everything is the result of politics. So take interest in politics, but not in that way positively. Anyway, now we are talking about this financial market. So let us again come back to this financial market. So financial market we have learned, like financial market is the market for financial assets. Now financial market, there are two categorizations of financial market. One is the capital market and one is the money market. Now again coming back to the first thing, that this business sector on the left hand side, they need money. Okay, just say for example one company is floated and that company is starting a project, and suppose the cost of that project is say 10,000 crore rupees. Now this money, how this money will be raised? This money will be raised from the general public. Now the business or the company, they will be needing money for two purposes. One, they will be requiring money that they will be investing in long-term assets, that they will be building their, investing in building, they will purchase their equipments, plants, machineries, furnitures, and all these things. So, means the money that will be required for purchasing a land, building, machinery, plant, some equipments that they will be requiring for long term. But they also need money on day-to-day basis, because you cannot run a business simply by having some plants, machinery, buildings, lands. You need raw materials, you need labor, and if labor will be there, you need to pay them on a regular basis. Sometimes it has to be paid on monthly basis, sometimes it has to be paid on daily basis, sometimes it has to be paid on weekly basis or fortnightly. So labor has to be paid regularly. For raw materials you have to pay. For day-to-day expenses, electricity is there. And suppose labor is coming and you cannot say that, see, I have invested entire money in the land and building and plant and machinery, and I will be paying once my entire project will be completed, and after 5 years I will be paying my entire money. That labor will not be working, because he or she is a labor and he or she needs money on regular basis, at regular interval, every day or every week or every month. So you cannot ask that labor or ask your supplier or this electricity company that you will be paying after 1 year or after 10 years or after 5 years. So basically you will be requiring money for two purposes: one for the long term purpose and one for the short term purpose. Now in finance there is a clear cut definition of what is long term and what is short term. Long term is more than 1 year. So anything which will be required for more than 364 days, that is 365 days, will be long term. And if it is for less than 365, that is up to 364 days, it will be short term. Okay. So this classification is clear: long term and short term, and why you need money for long term and why you need money for short term. Is that clear, students? Students, are you listening or you slept?
Hello?
I could see like these are students: Vipasa, Swati, Rupali, Arun.
Sir, they are all muted, so they cannot answer also.
Okay.
They all muted.
Okay.
So if you wish, we can unmute them once if you want to have the communication. I have given them permission. Now they can unmute.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, sir, I have understood.
Yes, sir.
Any question after this? Any clarification which you want? Anything which you have not understood till now? We have discussed about political system, we have discussed about economic system, then financial market, then different sectors in the economy. So is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Fine. So now, having understood the requirement of money for a corporate house, that is for long term and short term, now we will coming to that financial market, and it will be capital market and money market. Now capital market is the market for long term securities, okay, where the securities will be issued on a long term basis. Security means like any financial instrument, like maybe it's a fixed deposit or public deposit or bonds or equity shares or preference shares. So these are the different kinds of securities or different instruments in the market. So if these are issued, this will be the subject matter of capital market, because they are issued for a long term basis. The equity shares, they are issued forever. Once a company have issued equity share, it cannot take it back until unless some buyback arrangement is there. So equity share is forever. Preference shares normally for 20 years. Bonds for more than 5 years, up to 20-30 years. So these are subject matter of capital market. And money market is a market for short term securities, where the money is required for less than 1 year, up to 364 days. So like government treasury bills are there. RBI normally used to issue treasury bills. So these treasury bills are for 14 days, 30 days, 28 days, 364 days, 180 days. So treasury bills are there. Call money or money at call and short notice is there. Like this certificate of deposit or commercial papers. These are some of the instruments they are issued in money market. Like commercial papers, just like a company is issuing bond, that company is issuing bond and asking general public to subscribe to it. So that is called, that is capital market, because bonds are issued normally for more than 1 year. usually for 5 years and 10 years. But if the similar kind of instrument is issued by a company for say 1 month or 3 months or 6 months or less than 1 year, and at a fixed rate of interest, that will be commercial paper. Certificate of deposits are also there. These are all instruments of money market. So capital market and money market, these are the two broad categorization of financial market. Money market, I will discuss it later. But capital market, again, there are certain sub classification. One is the primary market and another is secondary market. Now, what is primary market? Primary market is the market where the securities are issued for the first time. Means who will be the parties engaged in the primary market? At one hand, there will be issuer. It may be government, it may be companies, and on another hand, there are the buyers of the securities. Maybe the general public, maybe some corporate bodies, maybe some institutional investors like mutual funds, UTI, insurance companies. They are the institutional investors. So when one company will be issuing shares for the very first time, okay, like when Reliance have issued shares in maybe in the 80s for the very first time, it was a subject matter of primary market. So it is only once in the history of Reliance it was in the primary market. And now if you want to purchase shares of Reliance, you cannot ask Mukesh Ambani to issue shares, or you cannot ask Anil Ambani from ADAG group to issue shares, but you have to go to the secondary market in the stock market, and from there you have to purchase. So in primary market, who are the two entities? One is the issuer and another is the investor. And in the secondary market, both of them are the investors. Like when the securities were issued for the first time, it was primary market, and once someone have bought it in the primary market, and then from subsequent trading in the securities will be the subject matter of secondary market. So suppose one company, say company A Limited, have issued a shares. I bought it, so it was a primary market. But now I want to sell it, so I cannot go and tell the issuer of the security, that is the company, that please take back your security, I want my money back. I cannot do that. So if I'm in need of money, then what I have to do? I will go to the secondary market, I will sell those shares to some other investors who are willing to, and then I can get back the money. So this is secondary market. Okay. In primary market also there are 4 different instances when the securities are issued. First one is the IPO, popularly known as this initial public offer, then follow-on public offer, right issue, and bonus. IPO, when a company is issuing security for the very first time, it is IPO. Now, in the newspaper, you might be hearing that LIC, Life Insurance Corporation of India, is going to issue its IPO. A few years back, some of the other government insurance companies like New India, United India, National Insurance, they have gone for issue of their IPO, because prior to that they were not listed in the stock market, their shares were not there in the market. So they have issued shares for the very first time, so it is IPO. But if the same company is going to issue shares for the second time, third time, because say when IOC have started issued shares maybe 20 years 25 years back, it was IPO. So when 25 years back IOC have issued shares, it was only certain percentage of shares were issued into the public, because prior to that 100% of the shares of Indian Oil Corporation was held by the government of India. Out of that, only 20% of the shares were issued to the general public, and remaining 80% were retained by the government of India. So it was IPO. But suppose government have decided that okay, let us release some more shares into the market and reduce its holding from 20%, from 80% to 70%, means the government will be issuing another 10% of the shares of IOC. So it will be follow-on public offer. And right issue is when the company is trying to extend its capital base. So first it has to offer those shares to the existing shareholders. Okay, and if the existing shareholders have certain course of option, either they can accept that offer, so they will have to pay they will be paying the money demanded by the company and they will be getting the shares. That is the first one. Or they can refuse the right. So basically, I'm not going to exercise that right. So that then company is free to issue it to someone else, or they can renounce it in favor of someone that I do not want, but my friend, my relative, so and so is willing to buy. So I am renouncing the right in favor of some other persons. So these three things I can do. So that is right issue. Right issue, they are issued because the shareholders have the preemptive rights over the company, because they have started the company and they are supposed to be the owners of the company, and because of that they have certain rights, and if the shares are issued without asking to them, their rights will be diluted, and just to protect their right, this right issue is there. And bonus share, when the company have accumulated huge surplus in its corpus, then it can issue bonus share to the existing shareholders free of cost. So that is bonus share. So this is in brief about the financial market. Then there are some other classification of financial market. That is by nature of claim, as I told you that financial assets are actually claims, financial claims. So by nature of claim, it will be either debt market or equity market. Now what is debt and what is equity? I'll come to that later on. By maturity, it's money market and capital market we have just discussed. Timing and with delivery, cash market or future market. Cash market means when you will be buying shares or some securities, you are paying immediately and you are getting the delivery of those instruments, either the shares or the bonds or the financial instruments immediately. This is cash market. And future market is you are dealing in the shares, dealing in the market for a future date, that you are making a contract with a person for supplying of shares or some financial instruments at a future date. That will be future market. By organizational structure, exchange traded market or over the counter market, these are there. We'll come to that later on one by one. One important function, that is what is the function of financial market. And when we are talking about the function of financial market, we'll be talking more in detail about the function of actually this secondary market. So first one is the fund mobilization. I have certain fund, similar to me there will be maybe thousands and lakhs and crores of people who have some amount of money. I have some surplus. Being an individual, I am generating some surplus. Maybe my surplus will be maybe some thousands to lakhs. Similarly, there will be crores and crores of people who will be generating some surplus. That is, some will be generating surplus of 100 rupees per month or 200 or 1000 rupees to a few lakhs of rupees per month. And these are the people. But if I am generating a surplus of say 1000 rupees or 10,000 rupees, it will be of no use, because if I want to invest in a company, I want to suppose build a company say of a stature of say Reliance, or I want to set up a petrochemical company, or I want to set up a textile factory, or I want to set up an IT company, I cannot do that. But if people like me, maybe 1 lakh people like me who have 1 lakh rupees surplus, and 1 lakh into 1 lakh maybe 10,000 crore rupees will be generated, and that can be given to one person, to one company, and that company can do business on our behalf, and return will be given to all the contributors in that company on a proportionate basis. So the first thing that capital market or financial market does is the mobilization of funds. Okay. Then it provides liquidity. Now how it provides liquidity, and what is liquidity? Normally, in being a students of accounting, we have been taught that liquidity means cash. But in stock market, liquidity means how fast security moves in the market. That is liquidity. So I bought suppose this is a mobile phone, and now what is the liquidity of this mobile phone? I bought this mobile phone say around 10,000 rupees. Now what is liquidity? Because I cannot sell it. If I will sell it, I will be not getting 10,000 rupees. I will be getting maybe 1,000 or 2,000, and most probably it will not be sold, because this is an old mobile and nobody will buy this old mobile. So liquidity of this mobile is at a very low level. This is very low. But a security or a share which I have, liquidity of that share, it depends upon the quality of that share. If it is a very profitable company, its liquidity will be very high, because the moment I will be trying to sell that share, it will be sold immediately. So that is how this liquidity is also there in the market because of this financial market. I bought one share, say Tata Steel have issued shares, and I have invested in the securities or the shares of Tata Steel. Now I'm in need of money. Okay, so what should I do? I'm in need of money, so I will be going to Tata Steel that रतन टाटा जी, आपने जब शेयर इशू किया था तो मैंने शेयर खरीद लिया. नाउ आई एम इन नीड ऑफ मनी, अपना शेयर ले लीजिए, मुझे पैसा दे दीजिए. It's simply not possible. So what I have to do? I will be finding some other buyer, okay, who are also willing to buy the shares of Tata Steel. Okay, now what I have to do? Should I write a Facebook post that 100 shares of Tata Steel are available with me and I am willing to buy it at 400, I want to sell it at 450 rupees, the buyers should contact me at my number? I can do that, but the chances are that in my friend list there may be no one interested in buying that shares of Tata Steel, or even if that person has interest in buying the shares of Tata Steel, he may not have the requisite infrastructure to buy the shares of Tata Steel. So what I have to do? So that's why a platform is created by the market, that is called stock exchange. Simply I have to offload those shares into the stock exchange, and similarly there will be many thousands and lakhs of persons who are willing to buy the shares of Tata Steel. So I'm willing to sell the shares of Tata Steel, and there will be some persons who are willing to buy the shares of Tata Steel, and both of them will be assembling at one place, and that transaction will be done. So that is liquidity. Then price determination, at the top. What is price determination? How do I know that prices of Tata Steel are 450 rupees or 430 rupees? How do I know? So it is the stock market which continuously work on the price discovery. I will come to that later on, like how this price determination is done. So that price determination. So because if I want to ask you what is the price of one share of BSNL, simply I do not know, you will not be knowing, nobody knows except some persons who are in the helm of affairs of BSNL. Why? Because BSNL is not a listed company. It is not in the financial market. It is simply a Government of India company. It has not offloaded its shares. So we do not know what is the price of BSNL. But if I ask you what is the price of Indian Oil Corporation, immediately you can go to the stock exchange and you can find, okay, today Indian Oil Corporation one share is traded at 90 rupees or itna paisa, itna, so and so forth. So you can identify. So price determination is continuously there in the financial market. This is one function of financial market. Capital formation. How capital is formed? Capital is formed out of savings. So at the very beginning I told you that the surplus generator, they used to generate surplus. So as an individual my capacity is limited. I can generate surplus, say a few thousands of rupees per month, but with few thousands of rupees I cannot set up one refinery. But people like me, who like 1 lakh or 1 crore people might like me, who are generating a surplus of 1000 to 1 lakh rupees, and if we can pull together our resources, one capital will be formed, and with that capital we can start one big industry. So that capital, financial market, it also helps in capital formation. Reduction in transaction cost, because we do not have to search for the buyers here and there. Simply you have to go to the financial market, stock market, and we can get the buyers. And this is how the entire cost will be reduced. Easy access is there, and risk sharing, because our risk is limited only to the amount of capital that we have invested. So our risk is up to that amount only. So we have share the risk. entire, suppose if a company like Lehman Brothers, it has failed. In India, Enron Incorporation and this WorldCom, both of them have failed. So, or like Satyam Computers have failed. So Satyam Computer have failed. So it's not that one person have taken all and the entire risk. Suppose if I have invested in Satyam Computers and my investment was say only 10,000 rupees, so my risk was only 10,000 rupees, nothing more than that. So this is how this entire financial market works. Is that okay?